Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Well, welcome, everybody. And always an honor to have you tuned into the one and only Watchdog on Wall Street show. Are you getting into the holiday spirit, the Christmas mode? We had about 5 inches of snow, 4 or 5 inches this past week, and was that heavy snow that stuck to every branch. It was beautiful outside. It was just absolutely gorgeous to look at. It didn't last long, warmed up and started turning all to slush, but it's a nice time of year without a doubt. One of my favorite things about this time of year is going to the mailbox. Going to the mailbox and getting the Christmas cards from friends, family, clients, listeners. It's just great. All of these pictures of kids and growing up. I love that. That is my favorite of the Christmas decorations. My mother made me these kind of really cool Christmas card holders that we hang on the wall where you stick the cards into them. They almost look like presents, the way that she did it. And I need more of them because all of these cards, and it's just great to see. It's my favorite Christmas decoration. Everything that we do there is I love the cards and putting them up that come from all over the country. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about this week. I know it's obviously the winter, but we did some gardening. Well, we are constantly doing gardening at Markowski Investments, and what I mean by gardening is trimming portfolios. And I'm reviewing positions. We're constantly reviewing positions, and wow, it's been a pretty great year, without a doubt. I mean, some of our core positions and things that we've had in our portfolio for a period of time, some of them up over 40% over the course of the year. And obviously, we've got to trim these things down to size. And I know I've talked about this on the program. Sometimes people ask questions. Why would you do that? Why are you selling if you think the company's doing well? Why would you just sell part of the position? If you think it's going to go up more, why wouldn't you hold on to the entire thing? It's a logical question, but my answer to people is that I don't know. I don't have a flux capacitor and a 1980s DeLorean to take me into the future. I can't tell what may happen down the road. Stuff does. And you never, ever get poor taking profits. And it's all about balance within one's portfolio. And that's what we're doing, especially at this time of year. And I hope people out there, for everybody out there listening to the program, I hope your financial advisor, if you're not working with us here, it's happening. If your financial advisor is doing that and taking a look. Or if you do it by your lonesome, you're taking a look and you're making sure that you're trimming positions and you're getting your asset allocation the way it should be. And we're getting to that point in time of the year, happens every year. The financial news, the various different business programs, the newspapers, the magazines, the publications, you name it. Top stock picks for 2020. What will the hot funds be in 2020? What to look forward to in 2020? Have you ever gone back and taken a look at the projections that these publications, these media outlets, these stock analysts made the year before and see how well they've done? It's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. And again, it's conventional wisdom. And what do we tell you here on the program? Conventional wisdom is poison. Stay away from it. Don't look for the hot funds. Don't look for the next gigantic idea and chase it. Oh, you want to be a part of something that you think might work moving forward. Nothing wrong with that. But you can do all that within a portfolio that has proper asset allocation. Now, we talked about this here on the program, and unlike the schlock analysts out there and the schlock brokers and the big brokerage firms and all of the other media outlets out there, we've been right consistently for a long period of time in recognizing trends and things that we see coming down the pike, things that we see might happen moving forward. Now, we've had a great run-up in the stock market in 2019. The way I see things here on the program moving forward is I don't see gangbuster-like returns. In fact, I see muted stock market returns moving forward. We have to work very, very hard to make sure that people are getting that level of return that they deserve, that they need to have. We've got a herd mentality out there. I think I called it several weeks ago. It's like zombies from The Walking Dead, like the walkers on the show. They're all going in the same direction. There's a lot of companies out there, and I look at them now, going through and looking at various different balance sheets, what we see moving forward. There's a lot of companies out there that, in our opinion, just are not doing it right. They're popular. They're talked about, but I don't like the way that they're spending money. I don't like the fact that they're not spending on R&D at the levels that I think that they should. If you are not growing as a company, you're dying, right? Well, that used to be the case. Not so much anymore. We got a lot of walking dead companies out there. And they are kept alive. They are kept alive, whether it be through regulatory capture, whether it be through incestuous management. This is from the CEO to the board of directors to all the lieutenants that they have on board. And business plans oftentimes become parasitic in that they're not about the company, they're about the executives getting rich. Now, we spent a lot of time over the past several weeks talking about the problem with stock compensation and stock buybacks in companies and how they are structured. And many times people say, oh, XYZ is buying back their stock. That must be awesome. Well, yes and no. It'd be awesome if they've got extra capital lying around and they are still doing research and development and they still have money left over to go ahead and buy back the stock. But if they're just doing it to buy back the stock from executives, that's a bit problematic. And that's what we're seeing now. I know I've mentioned this before here on the program. I know I throw a lot at people here. And sometimes I spook people a little bit too much here on the program from the types of emails that I get. I'm not afraid I'm not afraid. I deal with the terrain. Talked about this again and again and again. Your plan is absolutely useless if the terrain changes, right? And what was it? Who said that? Was it Mike Tyson or was it I think it was Muhammad Ali? Everybody has a plan. They're talking about boxing until they get punched in the mouth or punched in the nose. Oftentimes, NFL head coaches are judged based upon the changes that they can make at halftime, based upon what the other team throws at them and whether or not they're able to adjust. Now, we tell you what's going on here on the program, what our belief system is, what we see going on in the country, the problems that we see in the country. As much as we'd like to change many things, I don't have that type of power. We as a people, we do. The choices that we make, the people that we vote for, and understanding how we're being taken advantage of and how the ruling class has got us a bit over the barrel. But I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm not going to sit and complain about it. I'm not going to hide in my basement like some snot-nosed millennial and just type away on social media. We got work to do. We deal with the terrain. So we at Markowski Investments, we have to build portfolios understanding and recognizing that certain companies, well, guess what? They may be too big to fail. They may be too big to fail. I may not like them in the sense of the business that they do, the way things are, but there's an old saying, it is what it is. I mean, I talked about this back in the early part of the 1990s when I warned people, why in the world would you have a brokerage account at a major brokerage firm? Own their stock. You want to buy their stock? Take a look at certain companies. You're going to do pretty well. As long as you got it at the right time and you're doing the right things. But that's a part of what goes on today. I mean, guys like Warren Buffett have been experts at this. Why do you think he rubs elbows so much with politicians? He wants to know where the government contracts are going. He wants to know how legislation is going, what companies are going to be protected. Regulatory capture. It's not right. It's not fair, but we have to deal with it. You need to have a financial advisor, people putting together your portfolio that actually understands how the world works. How the world works and how it's going to affect the performance in your portfolio, what's going to happen coming down the road, being able to tinker with your portfolio based upon changes in the terrain, moving forward. A lot going on, right? A lot going on in this world. Now, you got candidates out there. And hey, listen, as it stands right now, I think many of them aren't even close to getting elected. But hey, most of the country didn't think Donald Trump was going to get elected. Be able to prepare, be able to adapt. That's what you need. And that's what you need to be taking a look at when it comes to your portfolio at this time of year and the choices that you're going to be making moving forward. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Our newsletter, consultations with our certified financial planners, all sorts of great stuff right there at the website, whether it be college planning kits, annuity help kits, you name it, it's there. It's free. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com or give us a call. It's 800-471-5984.
Everybody's happy.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Wait, I'll share with you some more quick trade. some of the things that we look for. Management's important. It is. It's very important. Again, we've been good at over the years and finding diamonds in the rough, but even the diamonds in the rough that we spotted, we wait because I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and I don't like to speculate. If I feel that there's too much risk involved, I'll wait. I waited on Amazon back in the 1990s. Took a look at that company, and what I saw was a book retailer. When they started getting involved in other areas of business, when they became more diversified, where I could see a light at the end of the tunnel, well, then you know what? Then we got involved. Still did pretty well. But that's, some of the things you need to understand. You can go out there, you can speculate a little bit, but you make it a percentage of your portfolio that is small. And the companies that you're looking at have to have business plans that make sense. I'll get into that a little bit later on. I want to quickly touch on this. A couple stories that I saw this past week. And actually, I see them, people emailing them to me as well, talking about how, another story out there, warning millennials that they're going to have to spend nearly half of their pay, well, basically need to save half of their paycheck if they want to retire at 65. We talk about time here on the program, and I'm putting this out to everybody, and especially all the millennials out there, but also people that aren't the millennials. You might want to relay it to these kids. Again, imagine, I said, put yourself in their position. And you pick up a story, or you're told all of a sudden you've got student loan debt, you're trying to make rent, you've got bills, you're trying to make your way in the world, and all of a sudden you start seeing stories where it says that if you're not saving half of your paycheck and putting it away, then guess what? Your retirement is going to be a disaster. That's wrong. People who put crap out like that, I'm sorry, you know what you're doing. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's patently absurd. Hey, okay. If you're a millennial and you happen to be a rock star, or you make a ton of money and you're an athlete or whatever it may be, and you can afford to save half of your paycheck, that's one thing. But most can't do that. Most you'll never be able to do that. I couldn't come close to doing that when I was in my younger years. No way, no how. Oh, so you mean that they're not going to be able to retire? What does retirement mean? What is get your arms around the concept of retirement. Just try to get your arms around it. You know, millennials, we don't know what type of advances, greater advances we're going to see when it comes to medicine moving forward. The reality is there's going to be more millennials hitting the age of 100 than ever before in history. So you're going to retire at 65? That's the date? Says who? Why do you allow others to dictate what your life is going to be? Make your own way. Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to retire. What does that mean? Who's thinking about retirement when they're in their 20s and their 30s? What you should be thinking about, yes, I need to be paying myself. I need to be saving. I need to be putting money away. Maybe this money that I'm putting away outside of my retirement accounts, my 401ks and the stuff that I'm getting at work, maybe that'll start a business down the road. Maybe it'll allow me to do something down the road. Who wants to live their life like that? What kind of existence is that? You're going to eat ramen noodles and live in a cardboard box? You know, the amount of god-awful investment advice and ideas out there, these are mainstream papers. But I can flip on CNBC at any point in time and listen to some stock analyst from J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Goldman Sachs spew absolute garbage as well. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We'll be back.
This blessed babe was born and laid within a manger upon this.
Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street. The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
You know, sometimes here on the program, I get wrapped up in various different things. Like I said, I never really know what direction I'm going to go in at. You know, as soon as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we start the program. I hear the music. I don't know. And by doing that, I mean, obviously, I do a ton of prep work here for the program. Sometimes I forget things. And I was reminded by some of our terrestrial radio show listeners and our 250 stations plus around the country that I didn't even cover the jobs numbers from last week. Talk about it. I was caught up in other things. Now, I know I talked about it extensively on the podcast, and I want to remind everybody out there, I try to keep it daily around a half an hour. Around a half an hour podcast. Now, it's good for everybody out there needs to do their half-hour cardio. You're hitting the elliptical. You're hitting the treadmill, whatever you want to do. It's good. You listen to it there, and I cover a myriad of different stories that I know are important, not the crap that's being shoved down your throat. Anyway, I didn't talk about the jobs numbers last week, and I should have, because there's never been in my lifetime a better jobs market than we're seeing today, period, the end. Never hasn't been. There is never, I've hasn't been a job market like this. I am talking to, again, parents of listeners, parents of clients, parents, friends, locally. This is all around the country. There are kids that are graduating from college that are making incredible salaries with bachelor degrees. Bachelor degrees. No matter where I go, there are help wanted signs. No matter who I talk to. All corners of this country. Markowski Investments clients. All over the country. I need workers. I find this fascinating because you take a listen to the spin doctors. The spin doctors over the course of the week. Spin Doctors, what first off was a really bad semi-grunge band from the early 1990s. But no, Spin Doctors, the ones that go on TV that are paid to give a certain opinion to cause controversy. The Spin Doctors, trying to spin these jobs numbers. Trying to portray them as, well, they're not that great. Shut up. Oh, they could cause problems. It could, it could be good. It could be inflationary. There's higher wages and low unemployment. It could be bad news. What? Are you kidding me? That's the constant spin. I started getting phone calls this week again. And I know some of my listeners out there are encouraging me to go back and do television. Phone calls past week. Come on, Fox, and come on to talk about some of this stuff. Nah. Why? What's the point? Honestly. I'm going to go on some 5-minute segment where I have to try to get a word in edgewise and try to talk over some other fool that doesn't know what they're talking about so we can get it in before the commercial break, before the The My Pillow guy comes on to sell his pillows and then on to the next topic. I've got better things to do with my time. You're listening to this program for a reason. So you don't have to tune in to all of that crap. And the constant lies and the constant spin that they're throwing at you. I mean, who believes that? Who in their right mind? There's somebody, it's worked in the economic advisors to the Obama administration. Blah, 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 from the Brookings Institute. Well, these numbers are a bit troubling in the sense that... Blah, 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 blah. Shut up! My daughter is 15 years old. 15! She walked into a store, and yes, she's got a bubbly personality, and she smiles all the time. She's shopping for Christmas presents. They're asking, would you like a job here? Do you know that doesn't happen anywhere else? Anywhere else in the entire world. You go in and you go shopping, and then all of a sudden people start asking if you want to work here. We're blessed, people. We are. And again, this is one of the biggest stories out there. But can't let anybody know because Donald Trump might get credit for it. And I don't even get political in regards to this. Because, again, people listening to this program know that I have my criticisms of the president, like I do of all presidents. But for crying out loud, people, you need to see the forest for the trees. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Our newsletter, consultations with our certified financial planners, all sorts of great stuff. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Hey, sure. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Back in when I was younger, the old days, more my investment banking days, I used to get lots and lots and lots of business plans, prospectus would hit my desk, and I'd take a look at a lot of these companies. I don't see as many anymore. Certainly, one of the reasons being is that most of these companies and their infancy stages, they go to private equity. We've talked about how in today's day and age, many of these companies are laddered up for a reason. They're laddered up for a reason because they want to keep the company alive a little bit longer. They can take it public at a higher valuation, and they can sell it to you suckers out there. Yes, you people out there, that they want to sell it to you. You suckers out there, you greater fools. Saw a story this past week. I got a kick out of this. I was like, no way. It almost sounds like a parody. There's a company out there called WAG. That's right, WAG. And you know what they call themselves? WAG Labs. That's the name of the company, WAG Labs. Now, when you hear the name WAG Labs, now what would you think that might be? WAG Labs. And you think, hey, you know what? Maybe they're a biotech company, some up-and-coming pharmaceutical company, WAG Labs. You know what they are? A dog walking service. That's right, a dog walking service. And they've got an app for that. Basically, it is Uber and Lyft for dog walking. And I'm not kidding you, SoftBank, the idiots over at SoftBank gave the company $300 million and put a valuation at the dog walking company app WAG Labs at $650 million. Well, SoftBank wants out now, and they recognize that this is a joke. No, they didn't recognize it was a joke. They're just saying, hey, you know what? We tried. We threw a lot of money at these companies. We weren't able to rip off the general public with this one. So we've got to get out. Now you take a look at another company. This happens to be a company that I've talked about here on the show. I don't have any problem with the company. It puts out a product. It's not making money yet, and I think it will make money down the road. But I have a problem with its valuation, and that's Peloton. It's an exercise bike. It's an exercise. They got an exercise bike, and they've got a treadmill. And there was a treadmill in my house growing up. There was an exercise bike. My grandmother and my aunt had an exercise bike at their house. There's nothing new, except they attached an iPad to it. And it deserves a $10 billion valuation? No, it doesn't. Again, I'm going to get back. I know we've talked about this a lot. I need people to understand how value works. Don't go anywhere. We'll get back into it when we return. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Again, our newsletter, consultations with our certified financial planners. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Holy night.
Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Now, unlike all of the snowflakes out there that got offended by the Peloton, and I did, in fact, I think a Peloton bike would be a nice gift for somebody. Yeah, I love you very much. I care about you, and I want you to be healthy. What in the world is wrong with that? You don't see that? Oh, no, you're fat-shaming somebody or doing this. Just no. Maybe you see the other side. Maybe I love you very much, and I want you to be healthy because I want to spend as much time with you as possible. They missed that part. But anyway, neither here nor there. I have no problem with it. There's lots of exercise companies out there, right? Lots of companies out there that sell exercise equipment. Peloton's not that special. It's not. It probably makes a high-quality bike, a great trim. I get it, but a lot of people do. The problem I had with it was what they were valuing it at. And the fact that they were trying to tell people that there's some sort of media company, some sort of tech company. No, you're not. You know, how many times over the years, my longtime listeners know, have I warned you about these companies that are hyped? Countless. Going back to Enron and WorldCom and Dynegy and Pets.com to GoPro. Did you remember where that stock, a GoPro? I'm like, it's a damn camera with a case around it. And I thought about it again this past week. One of my favorite business fictional programs out there actually ties in politics, and a lot of it is kind of spot on. I think it's on Showtime. I can't remember the network, but I know the show, Billions. And I know I've talked about this before. It's several years ago. One of the lead characters on the program, his name is Axe. He's a big money guy, hedge fund, whatever, private equity guy. He's loaded. One of the big characters on the program. And his wife comes up with a business. You know what her business is going around to various different Wall Street firms, executives in New York, and she wants to expand around the country, and come in and give them IVs. That's right, IVs in the workplace to hungover executives to help cure their hangover and make them feel good. Yet she doesn't want to use Axe's money or their family's money. She wants to go out and get an outside valuation on this. Now she goes and she meets with some bankers. And this is the only problem with the entire story. I'll get into it in a minute. But she doesn't get the financing. She didn't listen to her husband. She went anyway. And Axe told her that she wasn't ready. And he asks her, he says, what is it that you do? I want everybody to listen to this because this is how I look at companies. What is it that you do that you're the best in the world at? You offer a service you didn't invent, a formula you didn't invent, a delivery method you didn't invent. Nothing about what you do is patentable or a unique user experience. You haven't identified an isolated market segment, haven't truly branded your concept. You want me to go on? So why would an investment bank put serious money into it? I all but told you ahead of time, but you wouldn't listen. Now you heard it, but it's too late. You weren't ready. Now, the only problem I have with that and the show, and this is several years ago, is that, hey, in today's day and age, Axe's wife would have gotten money. All she would have had to do was go to SoftBank or some other private equity company out there. But it's true. That's how you take a look at a company. What is a Peloton bike? It's a great exercise bike with an iPad attached to it. That's all. You think it's going to be difficult to copy that? No. So how do you give it a $10 billion valuation? Anyway, quickly, I'm using Peloton again as an example. There was stories going on out there that when the controversial ad came out and the stock dropped. Stock went down. Oh, my God. News everywhere about Peloton's ad, and it was somehow not woke, whatever it may be. And the stock was down, I think, over the course of a few days, was down 12%. Well, again, what does this mean? Why was it down 12%? This is algorithmic trading. People, this is part of it. This is terrain. This is the world we all live in right now as investors. I'm just picking on Peloton right now. Well, you know what? I won't even use them as an example. I'll use another company, XYZ. XYZ company, that's actually a good company, puts out a commercial that the safe space, the fragilistas out there get all bent out of shape about. And there's all sorts of stories about it. What happens? Well, computer programs pick that up. I'm not kidding. Algorithmic trading programs pick up on bad news. They don't think about it. They don't contemplate. They sell faster than you can. These are high-frequency traders and trading programs that, guess what, you can't compete with. You can't. In a blink of an eye, bad news can come out about a company, and that stock will be down 10, 15%, and you can't do anything about it. So what do? Nothing. You need to be cool. Just that simple. You need to be cool. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Our newsletter, consultations with our certified financial planners. We'll be back.
Christmas means to me my love. Oh, yeah.
Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street. Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Now, if I was to basically put out a simple poll to people out there, what the most important news story of the week most important, most consequential news story of the week would be, I think you might get the impeachment hearings, the Inspector General report. But I would say that I would go out on a limb and say 90% of the people would probably point to those items as the most important, most consequential stories of the week. I'm here to tell you I disagree. I don't think they are at all. We're going to get into those stories a little bit later on in the program today. But there's much bigger story that got brushed under the rug. This past summer, I wrote a column entitled Veritas. And the point in my column is that the truth is getting drowned out. Facts, truth, honesty, gone. You can't hear it. Fake news, narratives, talking points, idiots on Brady Bunch-like boxes screaming out nonsense at one another on all these cable news programs. No Socratic debate. There's no desire for the truth. I mentioned last hour. I used to do quite a bit of television. It's funny, my youngest son discovered all of the YouTube videos of me on that are out there. He couldn't believe it. So, I used to do a lot of that. Why don't I go on? Why don't I go on anymore? It's an exercise in futility. I can't sit in a green room waiting to go on, watching these idiots, these so-called experts, work out their entire argument, practice their debate before they even go on air. It's professional wrestling. And I was happy to see this past summer's a Pew Research Center poll that found that Americans were more worried about fake news than terrorism. You should be. You should be. I hope more people are starting to get it. I hope more people are starting to recognize that they're being perpetually lied to. We've warned you here on this program. We've reminded our clients, our listeners, our readers that conventional wisdom is poison. I can pick up a column, and I've gotten better at it. It wasn't always as good as I am today. It's years and years and years and years of experience. I can see right through the narrative what they're trying to push immediately. What line of bull excrement are they trying to push now? I also wrote in that column, was talking about the journalism class that I took that I'll never forget. Back in high school, 11th grade journalism elective, and the teacher teaching us how we need to remove our opinions from our work. Now, as you all well know, you listen to this program, I'm a pretty opinionated guy. I got an A in the class. I did what I needed to do. I reported on the facts. Here on this program, I'm an equal opportunity basher. I will go after, I do the best I can to report both sides of an argument. Both sides of an argument and tell you what I think and why. You know, the amount of hate email that I get from both sides, from being honest. Oh, yeah, when I go after Donald Trump, oh, my God. The super Trumpsters get all enraged. What are you talking about? I can't be critical of the president and some of his policies? Did I say something that was inaccurate? You want to call me out on an inaccuracy? Go right ahead. I welcome it. I welcome it in the sense that you know what? I want to get it right. Political affiliation. There was a quote wrongly attributed to Mark Twain. He goes, "A lie travels around the globe while the truth is putting on its shoes." And it was actually Jonathan Swift who wrote those words of wisdom in 1710. Besides, as the vilest writer has his readers, so the greatest liar has his believers. And it often happens that if a lie be believed only for an hour, it has done its work. And there is no farther occasion for it. Falsehood flies, and the truth comes limping after it. So that when men come to be undeceived, it's too late. The jest is over, and the tale has had its effect. Yeah, well, let's get to the most important, most consequential story of the week that was brushed underneath the rug. And I have my beliefs why the story was released this week with the impeachment proceedings going on, with the IG report. They let the story come out this week because they knew. They knew it wouldn't get much coverage. The Afghanistan Papers. If you haven't heard about this yet, again, I talked about it extensively this past week on the podcast, and again, you should go back and you should listen. Not only that, you should go get the story, the report. The Washington Post did a phenomenal job with this. They applied for all the Freedom of Information Act requests that they needed to, and there's more coming out. This is the Pentagon Papers, Part 2. Basically, senior U.S. officials, again, failed to tell the truth about the war in Afghanistan throughout the entire 18-year campaign, going from its infancy until today, lying to us again and again and again, making rosy pronouncements that they knew were false, hiding unmistakable evidence that the war had become unwinnable. Oh, I know. I'm going to tick people off about this today. Oh, it's the Washington Post's liberal. Why don't you go take a look? Why don't you take a look at all? They provide all of the data, all of the interviews with the generals, with everyone that's been involved. They've collected over 2,000 pages of unpublished notes of all sorts of people who played a direct role in the war. Generals, diplomats, aid workers, Afghan officials. Now, the United States government tried to shield the identity of many of those interviewed. But the Washington Post figured it out with the information that they had. 400 insiders offering unrestrained criticism of what has gone wrong. For example, we were devoid of a fundamental understanding of Afghanistan. We didn't know what we were doing. Douglas Lute, 3-star Army general, who served as the White House's Afghan war czar during the Bush and Obama administrations. What are we trying to do here? We didn't have the foggiest notion of what we were undertaking. Oh, it goes into the money that we've spent. $978 billion, and that's not including CIA expenditures VA expenditures. Over $1 trillion. Jeffrey Eggers, retired Navy SEAL, White House staffer for Bush and Obama, stated, after the killing of Osama bin Laden, I said that Osama was probably laughing in his watery grave considering how much we have spent on Afghanistan. Basically in the article, and you have to go back and you have to take a look. Don't take my word for it. Don't get angry with me. For all you people, got to invade war. Don't get angry with me. Go read the information for yourself and take a look at the data, what the people in Kabul were actually seeing and saying, and what we were being told. Not what we were told, what we're being lied to. Every data point altered to present the best picture possible. Everyone. Again, you remember the Pentagon Papers, 1971. And the U.S. government's focus on body counts, right? John Sopko, the head of the federal agency that conducted the interviews with all of these people, grabbing all of this information, acknowledged to the Washington Post that the documents show the American people have constantly been lied to. It even goes into great depth in regards to drugs and the opium production. As it stands right now, Afghanistan produces more than 80% of the world's opium. Over 80%. And it shows some of the brilliant ideas we had telling farmers, hey, you know what? You destroy your crop, we'll pay you. Okay. They destroy their crop. You know what they do next year? They replant it. Pay me again. Oh, we'll go destroy a crop. Then they get upset. Then they join the Taliban. They join the insurgency. The idea that we could go into Afghanistan and all of a sudden say, hey, you people that have been here for centuries, living a certain way, tribalism, little pockets of area. We're gonna put on a strong central government and a democratic process. And we thought that was going to work? Come on, people. It's ridiculous. And if you go through and you read this and you say, why I've been saying, why are we still here? Why are we still doing this? Why are we still there? Why do we continue to do this? Stop telling us that if we're not there, all of a sudden terrorist camps are going to set up and they're going to start invading the United States again. Go sell your bull excrement somewhere else. Okay? At what point in time, America, are you going to wake up and you're going to see the forest for the trees and see how we are perpetually lied to? George Bush, Barack Obama. Donald Trump said he was going to get us out of there. He got us, mentioned getting out of Syria. What happened? The entire establishment starts freaking out. What do you think would happen if Donald Trump came out and said, you know what, we're pulling out the troops next week? You understand the colossal freak out you would see in Washington, D.C.? There's money involved with this. There's defense contracts. There's contractors. They don't want it to end. And we keep cutting checks. Keep paying our taxes. There was a story in there. One of the contractors was ordered. I'm not making this up. Go ahead, read the story. Ordered to spend $3 million a day. Just spend it. He's like, these people are living in mud huts with no windows, and I'm supposed to spend $3 million a day in this little area on infrastructure? What do you think happened? Corruption. Oh, yeah, Hamid Karzai and all those, but Hey, listen, all that money finds its way to a nice Swiss bank account somewhere, gets into the banking system. At some point in time, people, I hope we wake up. I hope everybody stops listening to the rah-rah media-pushed agenda when it comes to these endless wars that we manage to get ourselves into again and again and again. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Again, I talked about it great length this past week throughout the podcast. I strongly suggest you go and read the story. Watchdog on WallStreet.com, our 24-hour day help hotline, 800-471-5984.
Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. That's pretty heavy stuff around Christmas time. I know. Listen, send me your nasty emails, whatever it may be, but don't doubt me. Go read the story. Go see for yourself. Go see for yourself. Anyway, we constantly, again, we started off the Watchdog on Wall Street show. One of the things that we talked about most on the program 20 years ago we got started was ripoffs and scams. And believe it or not, well, guess what? People try to rip us off too. Yeah. One of the things that we've been doing over the past couple of years at Markowski Investments, there's some issues out there. There's not, believe it or not, there's not many high quality, in our opinion, high quality financial professionals out there. There's not. And well, what I mean, many of the good ones are getting older and they want to retire. And they want to get out. And we've been helping out these advisors transition, help make their lives a little bit easier. And it's an interview process. It's a program that we do, and we do the best we can to help these advisors out. And if they want to stop working, they can stop working. If they want to work a little bit less, want to cut their hours down, we set systems up for them to do that too. So we're constantly being contacted. But we have to make sure, too. We have to make sure that the firms that we're getting involved with are on the up and up. Now, it's been great so far. It has been. It's been great. The people that we're working with are fantastic. It's getting a great response. Well, got frustrated with one. We saw an issue with this one office that contacted us, and we took a look at the regulatory problems that they had in the past, and red flag. But what our biggest concern is the clients. And we want, I don't want to see anybody lose money. I don't want to see anybody getting ripped off. And, we basically told this individual, said, no, you're done. You got to turn it like we'll take over. We'll come up with some sort of settlement for you. We'll take over your clients. But guess what? You're out. You're out. We can't have you on our books. Well, again, he didn't want that. And I was frustrated because, again, I knew it was going to happen. And sure enough, I kind of got Ponzi scheme the guy was running. I don't know what I could have done. It's eating at me to try to find a way to have freed those clients up. But, we can get hit with it, too. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
And I'm glad to see that some younger people that are now tuning into the program, some of the millennials out there, and they They send me emails and whatnot and want to engage. And I got to be honest, I do spend some time. I spend a greater amount of time on the emails where people are just wrong. And they've just been pointed in the wrong direction. They've been given bad information. And I obviously try to get them on track. And I'm limited, people. There's only so many hours in the day. And you don't feel I try to get to as many emails as I possibly can. I do. But again, I'm limited. And a lot of the emails I've been getting from some of these millennials has to do with college and the high cost of college education, stuff I've talked about here on the program and ways to solve it. And they still think that some of these presidential candidates are going to wave their magic wand and college is going to be free. And they look at how it is over in Europe. How is it over in Europe? Do you really know how it is over in Europe? Except that you know it's free. Do you think that everyone in Europe can go to college like you can here? Listen, you can be a blithering idiot. You could go through high school, not apply yourself at all, be a straight C- to D student, and you know what? There's a college for you. Someone will let you in, and then they'll put you into some remedial math and remedial. And the reality is, most of the people that go in and having to take remedial classes don't finish college. That's just a fact. So you get people that went to college, they have student loan debt, and they didn't even finish. There was some statistics that I saw the other day in regards to, I got to find them. It was in regards to SAT scores and success. Well, the various different progressive Democrats out there, they want to make college education an entitlement. Again, you're entitled to it. Yeah. Even Obama talked. Remember when Obama was talking, every kid's got to get a college education out there. No, they don't. No, they don't. That's the only way to succeed in the United States. Sorry, Barack. You're wrong, my friend. Just ask Bill Gates and the guys from Google and Steve Jobs and the hundreds of clients that I have all over the country that are blue-collar tradesmen that own businesses that are millionaires. You ask them. The Wall Street Journal is a great column by Jackson Toby. He says, when students realize that they will get into college no matter what they learn in grade school or high school, they'll have no incentive to forego activities that are more fun than attending school, listening to teachers, and doing homework. Albert Shanker, the late president of the American Federation of Teachers, wrote in 1993, kids are just like adults. They will work to get what they want. If they know they have to work hard, listen in class, and come to school every day with their homework done to get into college, they'll do that. If they know they can get by with less and still get into college, that's what they'll do. And he talks about New York's City College, which was once known as the Harvard of the proletariat. It charged no tuition. It was the flagship college of the City University of New York. No tuition, but admitted only applicants who scored well on a very difficult test. Well, in 1969, protesters shut the gates, chained the gates, and called it the low numbers of minority students, and this is not right. So then guess what? City College adopted a policy of open admissions and began accepting people that were underprepared. Oh, what are we going to do? We're going to do remedial classes. By 1978, 2 out of 3 students entering City College required remedial work in writing, mathematics, or reading. And 1 in 5 needed it in all 3. Did it work? Did it work? No. It failed miserably. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this when we get back. It's a good teachable moment. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com is our website. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Again, our newsletter, consultations with our certified financial planners, all sorts of great stuff. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Welcome back. Yes, this is not a buy, sell, or hold program. You want to go listen to a buy, sell, or hold program, there's probably one on some local radio station with the local yokel schlockbroker. Got a couple pennies he could rub together and decided to pay the radio station salesperson some money that told him or her that this would be great for their business, and they go on and they talk about investments in the stock market. Yeah, listen to that. Listen if I see where that gets you. Nowhere. No, that's not what this program's about. It's not what we're about. Not what we're about at Markowski Investments. You need to see how the world is working. In order to make decisions, you need to know how the world works. Hey, what's the Quotron? What's that? What did the Dow do today? How many people get annoyed by that? How your market close is brought to you by your local Joe Schmo stockbroker. Well, the Dow did this today. The Nasdaq did this. The S&P did this today, and it did this because of this. Oh, really? You know why? Yeah, you know exactly why the market's moved. And why is that news important at 4 o'clock? You ever ask yourself that question? I mean, how many people out there do that? How many people check to see what the market did? I don't. Days that the market has massive moves, I'm not paying attention to it. I'm not. Well, gee whiz, the market's moving in one direction. Oh, I better go. Oh, my clients, I better start selling and moving stuff. Are you out of your mind? I've got more important things to do. Anyway, talking about free college, free stuff, the fallacy of free. Well, 22 years, talking about the City College here, 22 years after their open admissions experiment started, a liberal journalist by the name of James Traub spent 18 months seeing how it worked. He interviewed hundreds of City College students and attended classes. On the first day of a remedial course in basic skills, Mr. Traub saw Professor Rudy Gedamaki show students a headline from the student newspaper. Student turnout nil at games. Mr. Gedamaki asked the students what the headline meant. One student wrote, "He is not good for nothing." Another tries, "Students spend most of their studies time as their leisure times." And students are getting addicted toward it. Students act uncivilized at games. Or students turn out fascinate at games. This is verbatim. There was only one answer that Professor Gedamaki deemed correct. No one didn't go. Yeah. These anecdotal accounts were confirmed by statistics. City College study of 155 students placed in its remedial English program found that 7 out of 155 had graduated after 6 years. Another half dozen or so after 7. Only 15% were projected to complete college after a decade. They weren't flunked out. They gave up and dropped out. City College got rid of its open admissions policy. Here are the statistics. Okay? Average SAT score of 1,100 or higher have a first-year attrition rate of 8%. For colleges with an average SAT score of 700 or below, the first-year attrition rate, the dropout rate, is 45.5. Free college for everybody. Yeah. Just give out, maybe you get free beer, too, with that as well. Is that going along with that also? Watchdog on wallstreet.com. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street. You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Trends, people, and things you have to look at in terms of demographics, the overall, what people want and what they expect moving forward. And it can teach you a lot where money flows are going to go and what's going to happen. And one of the things that we saw many, many moons ago, and we still see it happening, is in regards to real estate around the country. Baby boomers, 21 million homes. Baby boomers are getting ready to sell 1/4 of America's homes over the next 2 decades. Now, it's all well and good, but guess what? Many of these properties happen to be in places where, hey, the Gen Xers don't want to live. I think I saw this coming. Again, this is another story that we've talked about extensively on the podcast. And you're going to see some depressed values in certain areas around the country. Now, I'm even talking in areas in Florida. Some of these condo complexes here, there, Arizona as well. Somebody has to buy. And it's basics. Again, going back to transactions and basic capitalism at its face. People put valuations on things. My house is worth this. Okay, you can take a look right now at Trulia and see what the market is and how the condo went for by you and the square footage, and you can do all of that. But what do you think is going to happen when more and more and more and more of these houses hit the market and they stay on for an extended period of time? Your asset is only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. An example that I've used before here on the program are my baseball cards. I used to collect baseball cards as a kid, and I've got a pretty darn good collection. They're stored away. I haven't looked at them in a long time, but let's look at some stars. Some stars. That popular card, baseball card, is the rookie card, first year. And I've got several George Brett rookie cards, Dave Winfield rookie cards, Ron Guidry. There's players from back when I was younger. Now, I can go online and I can look to see, well, yeah, this, George Brett rookie card, the book says is worth this. Well, that's nice. But it's only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. And again, people fail to understand that, especially when it comes to real estate. And many baby boomers out there, they're going to have to get wise to this and understand. And also understand who's going to want it. And, I'm just going to give it to my kids. I'm already starting to see this already, where kids are like, I don't want it. It's like the Life cereal commercial from the 1970s. I don't want it. Maybe give it to Mikey. Let Mikey try it. I don't know. They don't want the condo. They don't want the condo there at the big condo complex in Naples. They're not going to go down there. They're not interested in it. I'm dealing with this stuff now. They don't want to pay the maintenance on it in certain areas. This is a trend, people, You can ignore the things that we warn you about here on the program at your own risk. You're new to the program, go take a look at our track record and what we've called over the past few decades. Touch on this story as well. This is a kind of a teachable moment story also, talking about the country as a whole and where the jobs are, innovative jobs in the United States. Now, I loathe think tanks because these think tanks, you've got people that are just sitting around coming up with policies. They're not doing anything, basically. They get paid and they get their grants and they think that they're smart. And they come up with their policies and they're never right. I don't have any respect. Oh, there's a so-and-so from the Brookings Institution. You know what when I see those people? Go get yourself a real job. Go start a business. Go start yourself a business. Go be productive, for crying out loud. You and your stupid think tank. Anyway, Brookings Institution. Oh, my God, this is terrible. All these innovative jobs, and they're clustering around these certain cities. We've got a country that has over 3 million, almost 4 million square miles. Oh, no. We've got a dilemma because these people are going and living in these places. What are we going to do? We're going to have to have the government step in and create new and innovative places and invest in the Midwest and have more innovation centers. Okay. Instead, why don't you take a whole pile of cash and set it on fire? It doesn't work that way. That's not how the free market works. That's the thing with these people that think that they are smart, but really aren't. Oh, they might be intelligent, but they're not wise. They think that they can create an innovation center, that they can change the dynamic of a city by just throwing money at it. You can't do that. That's not how the free market works. And I live in the state of New York, and there are cities here in New York, areas in New York that used to be booming a long time ago, and now they're depressed. Oh, we need to find ways to revitalize this area. How? How, by throwing money at it? That area was vital at a point in time because the Erie Canal was there. That's because goods were being shipped through this. They're not being shipped that way anymore. You can't make it come back. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We shall return.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.